Is living in Stuart, Florida safe? People always love to say that Stuart is safe, but they also ignore the numbers that actually matter. So instead of opinions today, we're going to take a look at the real crime data, how it compares to where most people are moving from, and why those numbers feel very different once you live here. Hi there, my name's Melanie Gunning, and I am your Florida real estate guide. And if you're thinking about moving to Stuart or anywhere in Martin County, especially if you're coming from out of state or a larger South Florida metro, this is a decision that you should be making with facts, not marketing language. So in this video, I'm going to break down Stuart's violent crime, property crime, and how Stuart compares to the national average, and how it compares to places like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and northeastern metros, and what those numbers actually mean day to day. By the end of this video, you'll know if Stuart feels safe by your standards, not someone else's. So let's start with the overall big picture. Stuart consistently ranks 15 to 20% safer than the national average. This already puts us ahead of most cities with comparable sizes, but here's the important breakdown. Stuart's violent crime is lower than the national average, and this includes crimes that people are most concerned about, which of course is assault, robbery, and serious violent crime incidents. In practical terms, your odds of being in any crime, violent or property related, sit around 1 in the mid-50s. This is significantly better than many metros that people are leaving. But let's be very clear here. Violent crime is not the dominant issue here in Stuart, especially compared to places like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, New York City, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Stuart is just calmer, period. You don't see things like high assault clusters, nightlife-driven violence, dense crime corridors. This is not a city where crime spills into everyday life. That's why so many people who move here from larger metros feel immediate relief. Thinking about relocating to Florida's Treasure Coast, and remember, that does include cities like Port St. Lucie, Stuart, Hope Sound, and even down to the Jupiter and Tequesta area, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, and this is meant to save you hours of research, and I have it linked down below. From top employers to the best hospitals and boatloads of additional information that you need to know before making your move, the best part is it's 100% free. You heard me right, it's 100% free. Just click the link in the description or the top pinned comment. I hope that helps. So let's talk about property crime and where the data lives. And this is where the conversation needs nuance. Property crime makes up the majority of reported incidents in Stuart. That includes things like theft, vehicle break-ins, and burglaries. Theft rates sit around 18 to 1900 incidents per 100,000 residents, which is not unusual for a coastal town. You might ask yourself why? Because Stuart has seasonal residences, second homes, part-time occupancy, which leads to longer stretches of homes not being occupied. Most of the property crime here is opportunistic and not aggressive. It comes from unlocked cars, open garages, unoccupied houses. This is very different than crime that is driven by density or desperation. So let's talk about why the numbers get misunderstood and the mistake that people make. They see property crime stats and they may assume dangers, but in towns like Stuart, property crime is typically tied to things like absentee ownership, seasonal population swings, and low overnight activity. In other words, it's the environment. Someone who's moving from Manhattan or Chicago may find these numbers reassuring. Someone moving from a gated suburb initially might find these uncomfortable. Same data, different expectations. Hey friends, it's Melanie Gunning, and as much as I love making these videos, there's one thing I love even more. And that's helping families and people from all across the United States make the move to Florida's Treasure Coast. I've guided countless families to make the move, so whether you're coming out next week, next month, or even next year, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is right here on the screen and linked in the description in case you missed the on-screen pop-up. I look forward to helping you and your family make the move to Florida's Treasure Coast. So let's talk about how Stuart could compare to places that you're coming from, and we're going to put it into a little bit of perspective. If you're coming from New York, New Jersey, Chicago, California cities, Miami, or Fort Lauderdale, Stuart is immediately going to feel quieter, calmer, less chaotic, less crime dense, and more predictable. If you're coming places that are master plan communities, heavily gated neighborhoods, or very uniform suburbs, you may notice more variation from street to street. Not because it's unsafe, because it's older and it's less curated. Why neighborhood selection is going to matter most than city stats? This is where your real decisions are going to be made. In Stuart, how safe you feel is going to feel very heavily dependent on if you're full-time or in a seasonal neighborhood, the lighting, the housing age, density, and daily activity levels. Two neighborhoods can have very similar stats and feel very different. That's why people who choose carefully feel very comfortable here, and people who don't sometimes do regret it. So let's talk about the real answer. Is Stuart safe? By the numbers, the answer is yes, by the comparison, and by the lived experience. Violent crime is very low. Property crime is mostly opportunistic. The overall risk is lower than where most people are coming from. The real key isn't fear, it's understanding what numbers actually represent. If you're planning a move to Stuart or anywhere in Martin County and would like some guidance on interpreting neighborhoods instead of reading crime maps, that's where professional guidance will make a difference. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to subscribe and follow along if you want more honest breakdowns like this. My name's Melanie Gunning, and I am your Florida real estate guide, and I will see you on the next home tour.